Okay, so let's go more into tarot. Now remember, these videos are all about the truth versus what's popular. The truth versus what is popular. So, soothsayers are liars that are only telling people what people want to hear. Okay? And in that sense, no one is hiding the truth from you. Okay? When we're talking about soothsayers, soothsayers are telling you what you want to hear. And so you can't blame someone else and say, oh, they're hiding the truth from us, if you're just following the soothsayers that are telling you what you want to hear. That's what the whole idea of having a critical mind and questioning everything. Question yourself. The question a person needs to ask themselves is, first of all, are they honest with themselves? And are they genuinely, honestly seeking truth, or are they just looking to find the narrative that they want to hear? Are they just seeking out soothsayers, or are they really, truly seeking truth? And so a person has to be honest with themselves first. Otherwise, they're never going to find the truth, because they're always going to be believing their own lies. And we all do this to varying degrees, some more than others. There are extreme cases, and then there are more mild cases. But no one is 100% totally honest with themselves. So that's the challenge. That's where you get into the concept of know thy enemy, know thyself. Am I being honest with myself? Am I seeking truth, or am I just looking for the soothsayer to tell me what I want to hear, and then proclaiming that as the truth and shit? You know, this is all about confirmation bias, all this stuff. So you got soothsayers and everything. Like, everybody always tries to rag on religion as the evil soothsayer or whatever. But it's the news pundit is the soothsayer. The news pundit of the mainstream media news channel is the soothsayer. The preacher is the soothsayer. These YouTubers with these big YouTube channels, they're all soothsayers. They're all liars. And they all hide behind the banner of truth. Like, I'm a truther. My YouTube channel or my BitChute channel is to expose the liars. But they're just telling everybody what they want to hear. And the way you can easily discern this is once you acknowledge the truth, that the truth isn't popular. That is like one of the most profound statements of truth, is that the truth is not popular. It never has been. And it, you know, outside of a fucking miracle, it never will be. And so any channel that's popular is a soothsayer. And I know you all have your favorite channels that are popular, and you're going to say, no, not that guy. Crow House isn't a soothsayer. No, Cliff High, he's not a soothsayer. Oh, Paul Romano from, Paul Romano and Pockets of the Future, that he's not a soothsayer. No, my favorite channel, my favorite popular channel is not a soothsayer. Any popular channel is a soothsayer because the truth is not fucking popular. Tucker Carlson is not a soothsayer. They're all these fucking bigwigs, whether it's on the internet or on mainstream media, they're all fucking soothsayers. And you got the mass psychosis where you've got all these people who think, oh no, that one popular channel isn't a soothsayer. You're lying to yourself. And that's the whole thing about the truth is, know thy enemy, know thyself. Are you seeking truth, or are you looking for somebody to co-sign your bullshit? Okay. So now let's get back into tarot. So the thing I wanted to touch on with tarot is intuition versus reason. And I learned this from that fucking tarot guy that I hung out with for a long time. Whatever the case, a good tarot reader, a real tarot reader, does have information. And you can, a person can gauge this by if they have like if I know a lot of information, for example, let's say I know a lot of information. Well, that's how I can vet a fucking tarot reader. You know, if you have a pretty good bullshit barometer, then you can kind of discern a legit tarot reader, or at least a tarot reader that's not trying to fuck you, from one that's genuinely trying to, you know, practice the art, the true art. Okay. But then there's the problem with the art itself. The art itself is totally based in the concept of soothsaying. So then there you have another problem. So tarot is full of flaw. It's full of flaws. And so then you might try to just read tarot on your own. Well, that's when you will discover that the frustration with tarot. Because when you lay out cards and you're doing a reading of yourself and you ask the cards a question and you lay the cards out, and then you look into the meaning of these cards because you're trying to find a clear answer to your question. And then you start getting more and more of an understanding of what the meaning of the card is. Well, the card can go both ways. The card can be read however you want it to be read. And so then you're relying on your own self, not the cards. And therein lies one of the alleged lessons of tarot. Is the answer is in you, not in tarot. And if you spend enough time with the tarot, you'll find that all the tarot is basically a mirror of yourself. And how willing are you to accurately assess yourself versus are you just going to bullshit yourself? And the cards leave it up to you. The cards generally leave it up to you. Are you going to bullshit yourself, or are you going to, you know, realistically look at this? Going back to the know thy enemy, know thyself. It's all a mirror. So you can choose to just interpret the cards to say what you want it to say. You can choose to do that. The cards allow for that. The meaning of the card, the meaning of every single tarot card allows for the interpreter to choose, okay, whether they're going to read what they want to read, or are they going to look at the other side of it and have to look at themselves. And so it's a mirror. And it depends on how willing a person is to actually be honest with themselves and look at themselves. And this is what's frustrating about the cards, because when you do a reading, when you ask the cards a question and you lay the cards out and listen to what the cards are saying, that's basically what the cards are telling you. Is that do you want the bullshit answer, or do you want to, you know, look deeper? Because it's up to you. The choice is yours. The card is just a medium. That's all it is. The magic isn't really even in the cards at all. Now, if a person is honest with themselves and really truly being honest with themselves, the cards are likely to be more effective. But that's the frustration with learning tarot is then you realize, well, dude, these cards, I can just interpret it to mean whatever I want. And that's where tarot becomes very frustrating when you start learning it. It's like, dude, this is like total bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's just more bullshit like everything else. So that's the problem with the cards. So now, what I really wanted to get to is intuition versus reason. And see, this is what I'm saying though. So the cards will allow you to reject reason if you so choose. If you choose to reject reason and you choose to live in delusion, then the cards allow you to extract a delusional reading from the card. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, it's all up to you, not the cards. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons from tarot is that it's you, dude. How delusional are you? How honest are you with yourself? How honest are you willing to be with yourself? How willing are you to break delusion and get real? It's all up to you, not the cards. And that is the lesson in the fucking tarot cards, is it's you. Do you want to look at yourself, or do you want delusion? Do you want to be in delusion? It's the cards don't decide that. And not only do they not decide it, they allow for you to continue in delusion. This is where the marriage of intuition and reason comes into play. If you have a healthy marriage of reason and intuition, where you are not relying more on one or the other, then you can get the most accurate reading out of a deck of cards. But that's you. If you go to a tarot reader, you don't know how balanced that reader is. You don't know how healthy of a relationship that tarot reader has with their intuition versus their reason. And so this gets into what I learned. I've learned a lot of this from this tarot guide. This is why the outside world is always shifting. You know, it'll take hundreds of years, but it will shift from one polar extreme to the other. The outside world is rarely balanced and rarely promotes balance. The outside world is usually very off balance to fuck you. It's all because the more off balance it is, the more likely, you know, they can screw you over. And so societies are always either too heavily reliant on reason or too heavily reliant on intuition. There's never in society is there ever a marriage and merge of the two, intuition and reason. It's always like reject reject intuition mostly, for the most part, and just rely on reason, because that's the best way. Or vice versa. Reject reason and just rely mostly on your intuition. Don't really pay that much attention to. And the reason that they keep it like this, the term is controlled opposition. So if they can get a mass population to reject reason, well, see, then reason is the enemy. It's controlled opposition. Oh, reason is, you don't want to listen to reason. Everybody's always, you know what I'm saying? Like, they sway the opinion from one extreme to the other. And right now we live in a period, see, and I'm learning all this. We live in a period that is reason, where intuition is like the redheaded stepchild. It's like, don't really pay attention to intuition. That's just a bunch of woo-woo, hippy-dippy, shit, right? And so, just don't really pay attention to intuition. And that's largely accepted by the masses. But then what that does is it creates a faction of extremists who will say the opposite. They'll say, fuck reason. It's reason is the enemy, not intuition. When in reality, neither are the enemy. The marriage of reason and intuition is the goal. Balance of the two. neither is the enemy, but what institutions and the powers that be do is they create this false dichotomy, this controlled opposition that intuition is the enemy or reason is the enemy. And right now we live in an era where generally intuition is the enemy. But then, like I said, you have radical factions that'll state the opposite, you know, like these fucking new age cults and all these new age fucking gurus and all these weirdos. They fall for the trap, either that or it's a psyop, you know. They're either useful idiots or they're agents. Nonetheless, they're saying the opposite. No, intuition isn't the enemy, which that's true. But the other half is reason is the enemy. Reason. Stop listening to these people who are... So, you see what I'm saying? They're telling you a half truth. They're saying intuition is not the enemy. That's true. But that reason is the enemy. That is an illusion that is created by the opposite side of the spectrum, where they're saying reason is where it's at. Don't listen to intuition. Intuition is the enemy. So there's always this false fucking bullshit going on in the outside world, outside of your perception, like outside of you. But and arguably, you know, it is a mirror of yourself. Like there is a war going on between your reason and your intuition. And there needs to be a marriage of the two. There doesn't need to be a war because neither is the enemy. Reason is not the enemy, nor is intuition. And a balance of intuition and reason is what is necessary. And that doesn't, that is a lifetime process. You don't just lick that and say, okay, I've found the balance, now what? No. It's never the case. Never. Anybody that says that, stay away from it. Now there are people that have been able to get more of a balance where there isn't so much opposition of one or the other, but the outside world is always there telling them, oh, intuition is the enemy, or vice versa. Reason is the enemy. Stop listening to reason, you know. When neither is the enemy, so it's a half truth, you know. Intuition is not your enemy, yes. Neither is reason, and vice versa. They're not enemies. What the outside world does is try to get the masses to believe one of the two is the enemy, which creates the controlled opposition and the false flag and all this shit. And it's all happening internally. When you see it outside, if you're not aware that it's happening internally, you just see it outside yourself. But what a person needs to be aware of is the mirror phenomena. You know, the mirror effect. It's all happening inside of us. And we're all being conditioned all day, every day, telling us that one of the two is the enemy. Reason is the enemy, or intuition is the enemy. New Age cults will tell you reason is the enemy, and you need to listen to your intuition. Whereas, like other types of cults, which is the general society at large, is trying to portray intuition as the enemy. It's the balance of the two. Okay? And tarot is in a sneaky, almost a deceitful, you have to be careful with tarot, and I'm no expert at it, right? But I understand this about tarot. Tarot will allow you to believe whatever you want. So if you want to believe that reason is the enemy, tarot is not going to be like telling you that you're wrong. Tarot is going to be saying, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue the internal struggle where, you know, because if so, you can interpret these cards to mean that then. It's up to you. What do you want? You know, do you like living in delusion? Because here's an opportunity to read a delusional reading into this cards if you want. But here's the option, you know, it could mean something else too. What do you want to do? You know? And then that's where when the mirror comes into play, that's when it gets frustrating because you're hoping for a clear answer. Like, just tell me I'm retarded then, so that I'll know. But the tarot is like, why don't you tell me? Are you retarded? You know, that's what the tarot is going to say, Ari. You tell me, are you retarded? That's what the tarot is. You got to figure it out. The key is the balance between the intuition and the reason. If you reject the marriage of the balance of reason and intuition, then you're never going to get an accurate reading from tarot, or just in life. You're just lost. You're delusional. You need to marry the two. There needs to be a peaceful harmony between reason and intuition. And apparently, according to this guy I was hanging out with, once you get there, then it connects to the heart, and then the heart is where that. And I would suspect that once the three are merged together, then you can get a really good understanding of intuition. Okay, then you can really start to hear your intuition better, or whatever. But probably reason too. I'm not exactly sure. But the first step is to merge reason with intuition. Stop relying more heavily on one or the other. They need to be balanced.